Pokemon Horizons episode 78 just left me so mad, dude, but not at the episode though, at myself. You see, I planned and started making a theory video all about Lucius VS Entei and Terapagos, and I intended to release it early last week before the new episode released, but unfortunately I didn't finish it in time. And guess what, man? Everything I predicted came true. I'm actually kicking myself, bro. Despite that though, this episode was fantastic and came with two huge twists that I can't wait to talk about. So let's dive into it right here, right now. The episode began with our heroes gathering information about Entei sightings to track down Lucius VS Entei, and they managed to narrow it down to a set of islands nearby, so they head there immediately. Man, if the legendary beasts were this easy to find all along, then I have no idea what Yuuzin was doing wrong back in Johto. He dedicated his entire life to finding Suicune and he never succeeded. Anyway, along the way our heroes find an injured Huntail far from its home, and that makes them all think something strange is going on in the area. Molly's care for the Huntail was a really great moment, dude. It really showed her dedication to her duty as a healer. It was a really nice scene. Later on, they discover an underwater volcano, and then that night, something nearby the underwater volcano, probably Entei, lets out a huge roar. Simultaneously, the underwater volcano erupts and forms into a new island. And dude, the animation and lighting here was absolutely stunning. It looked so good. And the attention to detail of the animators, even for the less important scenes like this, that really does show that they're putting absolutely everything into this series. I love it. As our heroes approach the new island, Entei appears on a cliff nearby, radiating an intense aura. And yeah, despite all of the theories, despite all of the rumors, this Entei is a normal Entei. It's not a Paradox Entei, it's not a Gouging Fire like people predicted. I have a lot to say about that, so stay tuned. Liko tries to explain to Entei that they're connected to the 6 heroes, and they need Entei's help to find Lucius in Raikou. However, Entei keeps roaring and interrupting her, clearly uninterested in what she has to say. So, left with no choice, our heroes decide to battle Entei. It's Captain Pikachu, Crocodile, Florigato, and Quaxwell versus Entei. The battle begins, and the 3 starter Pokemon are immediately intimidated by Entei, freezing up on the spot. On the other hand, Captain Pikachu stays completely calm and begins to fight. This really does show the stark difference in experience between Cap and the other starter Pokemon. It was a subtle yet brilliant detail that adds a lot of depth to the Pokemon as individual characters, rather than just as generic battlers, you know? It's very clear the writers care a lot about this kind of stuff. All of our heroes attack, but Entei easily dodges them all, and even when Florigato and Quaxwell do land hits on Entei while Entei is distracted by Cap's double team, they deal absolutely no damage at all. Entei is unfazed and his power is unmatched, and it makes me really happy that the show isn't nerfing legendary Pokemon at all. In a series where legendary Pokemon are around every corner, it would be way too easy to nerf them a lot, but luckily the writers don't seem to be doing that. Entei then uses extra sensory on Crocodile, and man, it's animated so dark and intense. A real standout moment that emphasized Entei's fear factor. But luckily at the last moment, Captain Pikachu leaps in front of Crocodile and takes the full brunt of the hit. And you just know that was insanely powerful because Cap's body is literally burning on fire. Crazy. But Cap somehow manages to overcome it and stay standing. What a hardy little Pikachu, man. Entei then uses Eruption, and Quaxwell tries to shield Florigato from it, but they both end up injured. And Captain Pikachu, despite his injuries from Entei's extra sensory, manages to charge up a massive Volt Tackle, and then with help from the others, Captain Pikachu smashes into Entei, but shockingly it barely scratches Entei. Regardless of that, Pikachu's determination inspires Crocodile, and that causes Crocodile to overcome his hesitation and fear and become more determined than ever. Crocodile unleashes an insanely powerful stomping tantrum, breaking through an extra sensory from Entei and landing a huge hit, the first to deal actual decent visible damage to Entei. Man, I love how Roy's Crocodile shined in this battle the most. Like dude, when this little croc locks in and gets fired up, I feel like he has more power than anyone else in the Ryzen Volt Tacklers. He's insane. Entei is incredibly impressed by Crocodile and stops the battle, and then Terapagos approaches Entei cautiously, while Liko tries again to explain about Lucius and the 6 heroes. But Entei seems completely clueless and uninterested in what Liko has to say. None of the other 6 hero Pokemon are summoned from their Pokeballs either like they usually are, and that leaves Liko and the others really confused. Suddenly, a Raikou materializes from a lightning bolt and a Suicune descends from a sky aurora, and the 3 legendary beasts gather in a beautiful moment in front of the new new island before they all vanish. That was so cool to see, dude, so beautiful. Later on, our heroes come to the realization that that probably wasn't Lucius as Entei that they battled. It was probably just a random wild Entei. It likely gathered with Raikou and Suicune to celebrate the birth of a new island, and they just mistook it for Lucius as Entei. And that's so funny, dude. They really just rolled up to a random unrelated Entei and started preaching about Lucius and the 6 heroes. Entei must have been so confused. It must have been like, huh? What are you even talking about? That's peak comedy, man. Meanwhile, at the Exceed Company headquarters, Amethio makes a secret visit to meet Crave, the president of the company. Amethio asks Crave to tell him about Raikurium, but Crave weirdly completely avoids eye contact with Amethio, and he says that information belongs to Gibeon. He refuses to help. Frustrated, Amethio leaves. Dude, it's really cool to see Amethio is still investigating this stuff himself, even after being expelled from the Explorers. I'm excited to see how it connects him to Liko and the others and what Amethio's end goal is here. And then moments later, Spinel enters, because if you remember, he works for the company, and he casually mentions in passing about Amethio being Crave's son. You heard me right, dude. We finally know who Amethio's dad is, who Gibeon's son is. It's Crave, the president of the Exceed Company. That's Gibeon's son, who Gibeon keeps saying failed him and gave up on helping him reach Raikou. And that's Amethio's father, who Amethio keeps saying he does not want to be like. And I can totally see why, dude. Crave wouldn't even look his own son in the eye. He's a coward. And on top of that, he didn't even have the mental fortitude to turn against Gibeon either. Like, yeah, Crave left the Explorers, but really, he's still one of Gibeon's lackeys by leading the Exceed Company. Amethio's dad never took a stand for himself or fully broke himself free from Gibeon. He's a failure, and I understand now why Amethio doesn't want to be like him. What an interesting twist, man. The episode then ended with Briar video calling our heroes, telling them that an Entei was sighted in the Great Crater of Paldea. She also shows them a Scarlet Book drawing of a fusion of Entei, Suicune, and Raikou that was supposedly spotted there in the past too, and our heroes are really excited and hyped, thinking this could be Lucius's Entei. So the group decides to head to Area 0 to investigate. You heard me right, dude, we're finally going to Area 0 in the Pokemon anime, and I am so hyped. So, how do I feel about the episode overall? First off, I'm frustrated at myself that I didn't finish my theory video in time, because man, I predicted almost everything in this episode. Like how today's Entei wouldn't be Lucius's Entei, it would just be a random wild one, and how the end of the episode would lead into an Area 0 arc with Geeta and Gouging Fire, and all of that came true, dude. I wish I posted my theory first, I really do. You can even see part of my script for that video on screen right now. However, there are still parts of my theory that haven't been confirmed or denied yet, and I still plan to share those in an upcoming video in the next week or so. So stay tuned for that, because I think there's going to be a huge twist that no one has seen coming. I think I've cracked the code, dude. Regardless of that though, this episode was amazing. The twist about the Entei being wild added some depth to the story and gave our heroes valuable battling experience. The battle itself was fun. I love how Crocalor popped off. Seeing Raikou, Entei, and Suicune unite together was breathtaking, and they added a lore drop that the 3 of them gather to celebrate the birth of new islands and the life that comes with it was really interesting and beautiful. And I can't wait to go to Area 0, man, and see all the Paradox Pokemon. Although it does seem a little bit strange that we're only spending 2 episodes in Johto and then going back to Paldea immediately after, but oh well. I'm gonna be totally honest, I was kinda hoping that Crave wouldn't be Amethio's dad. I'd have loved a twist that Amethio's dad was made to vanish by Gibeon to show his ruthlessness. Or even that Amethio's dad was actively trying to stop Gibeon. Those routes could have been so interesting, man. They could have possibly caused Amethio to lean towards the good side even more by turning against Gibeon even more. But I do understand why they chose what they chose for Amethio's father. It's more realistic, and it makes it even more impactful and significant when Amethio inevitably works against Gibeon, doing what his father never managed to. So, what do you think about the episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you like the battle, the twists? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe button. That helps me out a whole lot, dude, and I would really appreciate it. Also, be sure to join the community Discord server to discuss the Pokemon anime with me and other fans. And on that note, thank you all so much for watching, and if I don't see you again beforehand, then have a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy Holidays.